Good progress is being made. Dulcie, you started noticing that for days now you have such a level of decrease in your symptoms. How about your function? Was it also starting to return and improve?
Yeah, and before that happened, even on one of the appointments, I had said that, one of my real difficulties was sleeping, that it was still lying down, was still problematic. And she showed me something with a pillow, but I think even more importantly, she gave me another exercise to do. Now, either she's a miracle worker but I mean, that was the first night that I slept through the night in all of that time, whatever that was. And that continued. And again, I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't, I tried to educate myself, of course, on it because I was very interested, but I know that it was kind of giving me myself back again. I mean, I felt much more in control of myself, my day-to-day activities. I did not, I was beginning to lose this feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't live like this. I mean, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. This is really awful. I was feeling like, I may never be 100% perfect again, because after all, I am 71 years old and these things happen, but this is okay. This is pretty darn good.
Okay, excellent. So we're taught from a clinical standpoint to continue to assess and not get too carried away or too quick to go in treatment mode, but just continue to assess every patient so that we can be keeping our head on a swivel for an indication that tells us that we need to adjust and change and modify. Kristina, you must have seen something that told you that she needed a modification or a progression. Do you remember what that was that finally was the catalyst for her to get a good night's sleep?
So it was kind of the better, no better situation. It wasn't lasting long enough. So it told me that we need to progress force. And so we did just that. And I think that's when she had that night of full sleep. So we really took her spine to end range.
Yeah, and it was a retraction extension for those of us clinicians. That's what you did with her.
She progressed to prone retraction extension sustained. Okay. And I even added, I think that day, I added some overpressure with that while she was there. We did a little bit of just manual overpressure there. So she really needed the whole end range, lower T-spine or upper T-spine, lower C-spine.
Dulcie, perhaps in the previous encounter and care that you received with conventional therapy, you might have had 3, 4, 5, 6 different exercises to do. Were you doing multiple exercises, or were you doing, or were you not?
Prior to Kristina?
No, with Kristina.
With Kristina, no, pretty much. I'm doing 4 things. I mean, it's the, and please give me the words for it, Kristina, but sitting against a chair and leaning all the way back and chin tuck and working on the technique, and then lying down and putting my, doing that one. The other thing was, because this arm was like almost a dead weight, working with, I think it was called median nerve glide. Okay. And doing a weight. And the first time Kristina gave me a weight, she gave me just a 1 pound weight, and I couldn't even lift it to my waist. And now I'm up to doing 4 pound weights, 10 times, 4 times a day.
Okay.
Which is probably more than I was ordered to do it, but it feels like it's doing some good.
Fantastic. Kristina, was there some myotomal weakness there that we kind of can see related to a true radiculopathy, where there's a disruption there where the message can't get from the brain to that group of muscles? Is that what you discovered?
So I think so. I didn't exactly use that as a baseline. I didn't use myotomal weakness as a baseline. So I can't comment on whether it had immediate changes, but as her symptoms and her motions were normalizing and her symptoms were becoming much less intense, she still had the arm weakness. So we went ahead and started to strength train it. And so I presume there's a little bit of myotomal weakness just dangling around that needs to just be re-strengthened. And she did have a little bit of nerve tension, which is why she's been doing some of the nerve gliding to help that along.
Yeah. Okay. Hear the entire episode for free on iTunes, Spotify, other favorite podcast players, or go to mechanicalcareforum.com.